Moving on to R3. This is the Veteran Service Office. Mr. Troy, are you going to come up, or is Christy coming up first, both of you? Instead of reading that, I'll let Christy, Interim Director, come on up.
I'm going to wait for a minute. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Cry, members of the board. I'm Christy Coleman, Interim Agency Director for Health and Human Services. With me here today is Troy Payne, our Veteran Service Officer. We are here today to go over the Veteran Homeless Plan that created from the collaborative group that has met weekly. HHSA, the Veteran Service Office, and local veteran organizations have met weekly to combine forces to identify the needs of veterans in our community and to create a plan to address the identified needs. To kickstart this plan, we held an informational meeting on Monday where local veteran organizations and HHSA programs met and shared resources. So much has come out of these collaborative meetings. There has been collaboration built between HHSA and the VSO. The VSO is working with the public defender. There's coordination happening with the Shasta County Jail, increased coordination between the county and Nation's Finest. The county has established a relationship with Our Heroes' Dreams, and there has been conversations with all organizations on the potential of increasing the transitional housing stock in our community. The needs that have been identified in these meetings are mental health treatment, substance use treatment, housing, job help, and reunification with family. So let's talk about this plan to help homeless veterans. When someone sees a homeless veteran, they should call the Veteran Service Office. There are many needs that must be addressed, and in order to help resolve these needs, our plan starts with a call to the Veteran Service Office. The VSO will do an intake form and will be able to verify the veteran's status. Based on the needs of the veteran, the VSO will reach out to a local veteran agency, Our Heroes' Dreams or Nation's Finest. The local veteran agency will meet the veteran where they are and immediately start to work to break down the barriers for the veteran. Housing may not be the first thing the veteran needs. If the veteran needs SUD treatment, the veteran agency will work with the veteran to get them into treatment. Or the veteran may have a good support system at home, and the veteran agency can help get the veteran home. HHSA will be contacted if the veteran qualifies for county mental health services and will help get the veteran into the appropriate level of care. Once through SUD treatment, or if the veteran is ready for some sort of housing option, the agency working with the veteran will determine what housing option will be best. It could be a hotel, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, or Our Heroes' Dreams camp. If the veteran is at risk of homelessness and is going down the path of eviction, there are resources to help, such as the eviction prevention program through the county. There are multiple housing resources currently available. This slide shows all those resources that we currently have. They include housing vouchers, like the Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing or VASH vouchers, and rapid rehousing like motel vouchers. Case management to help with people staying housed, help completing applications and paying for application fees, rental security deposits and back utility bills. There's also landlord incentives, which include bonuses to landlords who will work with our housing programs. There's also a risk mitigation fund to help with tenant-caused damages, and our housing teams reach out and engage with landlords to help bring new landlords onto one of our many housing programs. We also have the potential for new development projects in the community with potential uses of project-based vouchers, transitional housing, and there are programs like Home Safe, Bringing Families Home, and Behavioral Health Bridge Housing, which provide rent payment assistance and case management. Housing and all other services will work together. Sometimes they will be one after the other, but there could be an occasion where someone is ready to go into permanent housing right away and is on the path to finding a job. The neat thing about this plan is it is tailored to the veteran. Each veteran is unique in what they need and where they are in their journey. The local veteran agencies work with the veterans, and they will walk beside the veteran through the other needed services as they are ready. Not all veterans will qualify for VA health care. When that is the case, the veteran can access Medi-Cal and the county mental health services. These include case management, housing assistance, mental health, and SUD treatment services. Other assistance that can be accessed through HHSA is help with cleanup of criminal records. Economic Mobility is there to help with eligibility for CalFresh, CalWorks, General Assistance, and Medi-Cal. The agency working with the veteran will pay for or contact an agency that can pay for rental application fees as well. And they can help the veteran complete the rental application. Once the veteran is ready for permanent supportive housing, the VA case managers at Nation's Finest can get the veteran qualified for a HUD-VASH voucher and connected to the Housing Authority. Continuing with the wraparound services, there will also be help becoming job ready, as well as interview preparation, if this is the path the veteran can do. This plan provides wraparound services for veterans, education to those helping veterans on the services offered in the community, and connects the veteran with the services in the community. So what does success look like? Currently, there are 84 self-identified veterans in HMIS, the Homeless Management Information System. 27 of those 84 are currently working with Nation's Finest. Success isn't just housing the remaining 57. Success is the veteran becoming successfully housed, meaning they have stayed housed and have become self-sufficient in maintaining their household. Outcomes we will be reviewing include the number of veterans who received treatment services that needed treatment services, the number of veterans out of encampments and into housing, the number of VASH vouchers leased, not just issued, and the number of veterans who have been successfully housed in housing for more than 12 months. Through this journey, we have come up with a call to action for the community. If you see a homeless veteran, call the Veteran Service Office or the Warrior Transition Team, which is with Our Heroes' Dreams. The numbers are up there on the slide. Part of the ask today is the approval of a budget amendment and salary resolution to add a drug and alcohol counselor to HHSA. This position will work with the veteran population and will eventually be housed at the VSO office. Troy Payne is currently working with the Shasta County Jail to determine the best path forward for notifications on when veterans are released from jail. Getting this notification will help get someone to the jail to meet the veteran on the steps of the jail. They will help the veteran walk through the needed services. The VSO will be going to Our Heroes' Dreams camp to get veterans enrolled in benefits that they might not be receiving. HHSA Community Relations Team has created pocket brochures and they will be distributed so there's information and resources that can be carried easily in a wallet or a backpack. HHSA, the VSO, and Our Heroes' Dreams are actively looking for grants. There's been one community education session to help veteran organizations in the county share resources and information. HHSA will be releasing an RFP to help attract an organization or developer to acquire transitional housing for the veterans in our community. The VSO is collaborating with other county departments on the idea of having a pretrial diversion program for veterans. And outreach is growing and will include veteran organizations. Last slide. This effort doesn't stop here. This is only the beginning. Meetings will continue on a quarterly basis to ensure the needs of veterans are being met. The process is working and challenges encountered can be worked through. The monthly outreach to encampments will have veteran organizations joining, and we want to add more organizations that serve the veteran community to the quarterly meetings. The more organizations helping in the effort, the more successful the veteran will be. One other thing that I want to mention is that Nation's Finest met with 3 veterans about this plan, and there was consistent messaging that they all shared, is that they did know the resources available to them, and if they did, they would have got help sooner. Outreach to encampments will help with this, along with getting information about resources out. That concludes my presentation, and at this time I do want to ask Troy if he would come up to just say a few words about the plan.
Good morning, Chair Cry, members of the board. This has been a labor of love. This collaboration that we're putting together, I cannot stress enough, has been prepared by veterans for veterans. I think that the plan that we have developed going forward is the best for Shasta County. Not everybody would fit into this, but after a lot of collaboration with past homeless veterans, current homeless veterans, the organizations involved with homeless veterans, I think that we have put together the best plan forward to deal with the veterans that are here in Shasta County that are experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Kellstrom.
So when we started this, we had 81 homeless veterans, and now we're at 84 homeless veterans.
That is
Okay.
correct.
So how many beds are available right now? In other words, if a homeless veteran walked through the door right now and said, I need help, where would we put him?
Or her.
The last I heard, Nation's Finest had 2 beds that were coming available in July. They also, those are the only ones that I know of. Justin Bond, who's with Our Heroes Dreams, he worked with 7 homeless veterans recently. His organization was forced to take some of them to locations outside of Shasta County due to inventory shortages. So that is the biggest problem facing Shasta County right now is inventory.
Yeah. The other option too that we have, usually what happens first is they'll go into a hotel until we can actually find them some sort of, apartment, condo, townhome, a house, whatever it is that they need. So that's kind of sometimes the first stop is let's get you, out of your encampment and into a hotel so we can start to work with you and break down those barriers as to why you're not housed currently. And so that sometimes we don't have somewhere to just put them right away. So that is the first stop.
So what is our plan for housing? What is our plan for beds? Because, we can't go forward with this whole thing if we don't have places to put them.
That's why we hope to get it, we want to get an RFP out and have an organization or developer apply for the funds and acquire some units to make them transitional housing, to actually create more housing stock in our community for the veterans.
Okay. And I see Justin Bond is here today. Would I be putting you on the spot, Justin, if I asked you to come up?
Supervisor Kellstrom, I'm going to have public comment.
Okay.
And he's probably going to speak in public comment. So, and I jumped the gun. Usually I would do public comment before we get to board discussion.
All right.
Yeah, I do have other veteran organizations and veterans here too that came to support the effort and, are happy to come up and say a few words if you guys would allow.
Yeah, let's jump into public
Okay,
comment.
that's fine.
A 3-week break got me out of practice, so I jumped I jumped right to board discussion. So with that, let's go ahead and move to public comment. And Supervisor Kellstrom, we'll pick back up with you when we come out of that. Ms. Blanket or Ms. Angel, sorry, you're in charge today. So who's our first speaker? And if you could get them in queue, that'd be great.
All right, first we have Luis Angel Malave, followed by Tucker Zimmerman, Jay Smalls, Brian Holland. If I called your name, please get in queue over here.
And we have, I see 8 speakers, so we'll do 3 minutes per speaker.
Luis?
Good morning. My name is Luis Angel Malave. I'm a veteran, and I want to let everybody know that if it wasn't for them, I was going through a divorce, homeless, sleeping in my car. And if it wasn't for OHD, that they're helping me to get a job, also trying to find housing, I believe very strong. I've been to other places, and they never even cared, me being a veteran, but they truly did. And they accepted me, and I feel like I became part of a family. That's really important. And these are the kind of organization that I believe we need. Because without them, I would be sleeping still in a bench or in the car. Well, I want to thank you very much.
OHD, to clarify for people who don't know, that's Our Heroes Dream.
Our Heroes Dream, yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much for hearing me out.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tucker Zimmerman, followed by Jay Smalls, Brian Holland, and Lee Clark. If I called your name, please get in the queue.
Board members, I do appreciate you and your driving force of this community, first and foremost. My name is Tucker Zimmerman, and I'm retired United States Marine Corps gunnery sergeant. I've been a company commander and an officer in charge as an enlisted man, and I spent the better part of 5 years doing that on deployments. I did 5
Can you do me a favor?
combat...
Can you raise that up? You're so tall.
Oh,
and
sorry,
there's
sir.
a little, because I want the public to be able to hear, and it's tough.
Yes, sir. So I did 5 combat deployments to multiple places in the world.
Pause this clock for me.
Sorry, you're very tall.
Just shows you how tall Miranda is, like when she's standing next to a guy that's really tall.
I know, I was looking up to her. So with my 5 combat deployments, I was instilled on the yellow footprints, as I spoke about this morning, to basically have my life algorithm changed, and it's to support the Constitution of the United States. And so I'm standing here now as a first responder on the green fire on my 2 days off. And I'm going to tell you some of the issues with health, transportation, Corky. You were talking about, you know, all the different entities, the environment and everything up here. Well, here's the problem as a first responder and as a veteran. Water truck passing fire extinguishers that say water fire use only, and you can't get water. You got fuel reduction. We got Our Hero's Dream gentlemen right here and women. We can do fuel reduction. Give us a chance. But here's the problem. I sacrificed for 4 months a year, 5 months a year without a job, not getting paid. But yet I get paid good money to be on a fire. I'm fortunate enough to get a retirement check because I did more than 20 years in this country. But you have everybody else that needs a life of purpose as well as I do. And we don't have the means to be able to do volunteer work because we have to pay paychecks and we have to find money, and we're homeless. Currently, right now, I have 3 firefighters that I personally have befriended on a fire, and I was called for a suicide that was going to happen at 3:30 in the morning, not even 24 hours ago. I woke up next to that man, and to see him smile and have love back instilled in his heart because he just needed to be loved is very vital to me. As board members, as citizens, Our Hero's Dream, we are here. We are dedicated. Whether it's money, whether it's monetary, we will support no matter what. But we need the board's assistance. And I do appreciate, I got mentors right here on the seats. And I do value what you guys have on choices to be made. And I do thank you and all the citizens here. And I'm going to promise you, we, as Our Hero's Dreams, and as first responders, we will support and defend your homes to keep you alive and happy. Thank you.
Jay Smalls, followed by Brian Holland, Lee Clark, and Christian Gardner.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan Smalls. I'm a United States Army Sergeant, a decorated combat veteran, and a recipient of the Purple Heart. I served in Iraq and Afghanistan as a combat engineer, trained in breaching, demolition, route clearance, and walking in the danger so others wouldn't have to. I earned the Combat Action Badge, but what I really earned was survival. I've been blown up more times than most humans should survive. For a while, I even started tallying the blasts on my arm. But I stopped because I realized I didn't like that game. War didn't just wound me, it followed me home. My world turned gray. I wasn't trying to die, but I couldn't find a reason to live either. I lost my family, my sense of self, and the fight in my spirit. I was too strong to quit, but too broken to take the next steps, until Our Hero's Dream stepped in for me. They didn't treat me like a problem. They treated me like the warrior whose story wasn't finished yet. Because they stood for me, I now stand for others. I'm a team lead with Our Hero's Dreams, and I serve on the Warrior Board. I help run healing retreats where veterans like me learn how to stop surviving and start rebuilding. I'm pursuing a PhD in psychology and clinical neuroscience to turn all of this, everything I've lived, everything I've learned, into real peer-to-peer healing. Not the kind that checks a box, but the kind that teaches someone in silence and reminds them you're not done yet. I still feel pain, but now I use it. My scars don't make me weak, they make me useful. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here to show you what this organization builds. Not dependency, but force multipliers. Warriors who rise, then turn around and reach back in the fire to lift others out. Our Hero's Dreams didn't just save my life, they helped me take command of it. And now I'm helping others do the same. The truth is, when an organization like this is supported the way it needs to be, the impact doesn't just add up, it echoes. The healing spreads. The ones who get their footing turn right back around and bring others through it. The warriors we reach don't disappear back into the woods. They go back to their communities, into their families, and into the dark corners of this world, carrying a light that was never there before. That's the cycle we're building. That's the kind of ripple effect you can't put a number on. But I also know what happens when help isn't there. When we wait too long, when the lines get too long and the resources run thin, then I ask myself, who takes them? Who else walks into that kind of pain with open hands and doesn't flinch? You already know the answer. What we have here is rare, it's real, and it works. I've lived it. I'll spend the rest of my entire life giving it back. All I ask is that you look at what we're doing here and feel what I felt. That even after everything, there's still hope worth fighting for. It's not just a theory, it's not just a wish, we're living things, and I'm here standing as proof. Thank you.
Brian Holland, followed by Lee Clark, Christian Gardner, and then Carlos Sanchez.
Hi, my name's Brian Holland. I'm a Navy veteran. 4 years ago, I ended up homeless because of my drinking. And shorten my little story here. I was about to get a drink one day, and a flyer flashed into my mind at the mission. It said, "Nation's finest, we help homeless veterans." I walked past that liquor store that day and toward the flyer. I ended up at the wrong place, the VSO, but the man inside said, "Have a seat," and made a phone call. My heart sank, expecting, "Sorry, we can't help you." But instead, he said, "Rebecca wants to talk to you as soon as possible." For a long time, my flame was out. I had the match, but couldn't light it. The man, he took the match and passed it to someone who could. I went to see Rebecca, still scared, still unsure. The first thing she said was, "We can help you." That's when the fire started and is still burning today. She told me there was room at the Park Marina house. Come back tomorrow. We'll finish the paperwork. I left that office with something I hadn't felt in a long time, hope. The next day, Friday, June 19th, I waited for Mary. That's a part of the story I wanted to tell her. She never showed up. I went to Nation's Finest after breakfast, but it was closed for Juneteenth. Another obstacle, another test. The next few days, I debated giving up. So easy to walk away. But Monday morning came, still no Mary. I walked into Rebecca's office. She looked up and said, "Want to see your new home." I cried. "Can I give you a hug?" And then a man down there, Jeff, drove me to see it. "You like it?" he asked. I said, "Yes, absolutely." "All right, I'll pick you up around 8 in the morning tomorrow." And still no Mary. Jeff picked me up. I started my new life. Two things happened on June 18th, 2021. It was the last time I saw Mary, and it was the day I chose life instead of a drink. Today is June 16th, 2025, and I'm still here, still sober, 4 years strong. I don't know who Mary really was. A stranger, an angel, a whisper from God. Whoever she was, she showed up exactly when I needed her. To anyone who thinks it's too late, it's not. If you're still breathing, you still have a chance. Sometimes healing starts with a cigarette and a stranger. Sometimes healing sounds like your name being called one more time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee Clark, followed by Christian Gardner, Carlos Sanchez, and Benjamin Owain.
Morning. This is not public comment. This is a treasonous or not law supplement. Been going on for a long time with me and the board, encompassing veterans issues. As a Marine, honorably discharged, being denied proper treatment inclusive of VSO concealment crimes, and the board implications. Concealment crimes, 18 U.S.C. Section 2382, 18 U.S.C. Section 4, especially County Council Lemoore. Fraudulent lawyer. Concealment crimes about the VA denying me my pension, not even doing a claim on it. They're not even protesting. They have knowledge about me being denied medical treatment for 5 years now at the VA over my validated service dog because the cops want to kick me out and intervene in my treatment. Now I can't even go to the Veterans Hospital. So this good intention stuff is big neon sign caution, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. These veteran suicides are not suicides, they're murders because of fatiguing them into compliance, unconstitutionality, violating that flag of what it stands for, what it means. All the hypocrites saying one thing, doing the opposite. The program has needs, true, but let's not be counterproductive. Let's not conceal crimes when it comes to what's really going on. The truth of the matter about veterans are going down a habit trail, 4 steps forward, 10 steps backwards. And then we do self-medication, drinking, whatever. Keep it real. Truth hurts, get over it. We're men, we're women, we're adults. stop concealment crimes, do my claim on VA, felonious intrusions, charges.
Christian Gardner, followed by Carlos Sanchez and Benjamin Nguyen.
Of course, our 3 must be passed, and I have no doubt that it will be. As a clinician who's had the privilege of actually working with veterans in psychiatric settings and trying to interface them with the VA department after their release, I can tell you it's a nightmare. It's a headache. And maybe it'll get better. I don't know. We can only hope that this collaboration that the county is putting forth will help with that. But let's be real. Kevin Cry mentioned that we're not going to get a lot of help, and we're not. The big beautiful bill cuts 80,000 workers from veteran services. That's a lot of clinicians. That's a lot of people working with case management. That's a lot of people working with drug and alcohol issues within the VA services. One of the things this board could do is write up a resolution and send it to Doug LaMoffa and to Trump, asking for the refunding of the budget cut to VA services that actually include food for vets. Can you imagine that? Food for vets. Yeah, it's great to build a collaborative program. It's great to try and fund money into it, but it's almost like you're fighting windmills. And take the step a little further, because in Congress today, there are a few Republicans, believe it or not, that are trying to refund through bills some of the services that got cut. To cut medical services, to cut food, to cut housing from veterans is criminal. Absolutely criminal. All the programs that this collaboration is trying to work with, guess where the money comes from? We know where the money comes from. That money's drying up. So take the step a little bit further. Write letters. Get a hold of your representatives. Fight for your veterans, because God knows they have fought for us.
Carlos Sanchez, followed by Benjamin Nguyen.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Carlos Sanchez, former United States Army Sergeant Infantry. Served 2 tours, one in Iraq, one in Afghanistan. And I gotta say, I can speak on behalf of these gentlemen who have not seen combat, that it followed me home too. Not only did it follow me home, but it also shadowed my family. It shadowed them to the point that they shunned me for my mental health. Instead of helping me, they practically cast me out. And I've been homeless ever since I was 24. I'm 38. And it was I'm sorry, I'm nervous. It was our nation's finest that helped me get out of homelessness. Not only did they help me get out of homelessness, but I was able to get back in contact with my son after a whole year of not being able to see him because his mother thought that I was on drugs, alcohol. Plus I was living in my car, so it's kind of mentioned in the fact that I was not capable of being a good father, even though I know I am a good father. And the one thing that pains me the most is that, yes, there are many organizations out there that does help, but we just don't have the funding or the information out there for the regular civilian to help us. It's unfortunate because I now was a client of Nation's Finest. Now I have a home, I have a cat, I have a car, I have the things I never thought I would actually ever have. And it's thanks to these organizations that got me back into what I wanted to do most, which was writing. And that's actually what I went back to school for after the war, journalism. Not only did I complete my journalism, but I also completed my communications bachelor's in order to speak in front of people without fear. And in order to articulate exactly what these men and women have gone through, and especially the men and women that are trying to help. I'm just putting my foot forward now. And my own personal money from my own pension to make sure that Nation's Finest keeps moving forward. My own money that I do not have to give, but I do because it's for my brothers and sisters that don't have a way in or out. Like me, I joined the military with no support from my family, came back home with no support either. I was literally at the edge of a knife more than once. But it was organizations like Nation's Finest and Our Heroes' Dreams that actually kept me from doing such unscrupulous things. Not only that, but it got me back into my mental health. I'm back. I'm ready to work. I'm back to the same old soldier that I once was when I first went in. I'm still ready to keep going because that's who I am and that's what I do. That's what we do. We're soldiers. And that's what we will always be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Benjamin Nguyen, and Chair, that will be our last speaker.
So first I want to thank Shasta County for moving forward with this program. I do have some issues with the process. The presentation today wasn't included in the agenda packet, and I know that's sort of been par for the course lately, but that should be a basic transparency measure. Not everybody has the ability to come to these meetings, and they shouldn't have to be here or, you know, view the replay in order to understand what these programs are. Also, today's meeting was Wednesday. It falls outside the normal schedule. A lot of community members weren't even able to attend. I actually spoke to some people who said they regularly take Tuesdays off specifically for these meetings. It just, you know, means they didn't check the calendar, but that's an added reason to ensure that these types of presentations are included in the packet. I just want to say I support any program that supports veterans, including this one. Using opioid settlement funds to hire a counselor is a positive step, but I still feel like we could have done more. I think about Supervisor Plummer spending months developing a plan based on the Built for Zero model, which was a proven framework used across the country to reduce and actually prevent homelessness. Now, Chair Cry blocked that effort, and veterans would be forced to wait months for a scaled-down version that now seems designed to create a political win as he prepares for a 2026 campaign. Now, don't get me wrong, Nation's Finest is an excellent response-based program, and Heroes Dream will undoubtedly save lives. But wouldn't it have been fantastic to have an additional long-term intergovernmental collaborative solution? This new plan is going to help veterans in crisis, and that's important. But we have the chance to build, or we had the chance to build the scaffolding for something bigger, something that could have prevented future homelessness and not simply responded to it. And while I'm grateful for what was presented today, I think we missed the opportunity for something greater.
All right, we're going to pick back up with Supervisor Kellstrom.
Yeah, well, you know, the stories were fantastic and very heartwarming. A lot of them referred to Nation's Finest, but most of them were Our Heroes' Dream. So we have Justin Bond here today. Would you like to come up and speak, Justin? Because, I mean, it seems like a lot of the success lies in your organization. And, by the way, do you have any beds available right now?
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Last time I was here was when you were presenting. And I want to tell you, that day before you sent us a veteran, you said, hey, there's a homeless veteran out on the street corner, Supervisor Plummer. And I want to report to you today that you saved his life. You saved his life. We got him into medical, we got him housing, but medical found out that he wasn't going to last long. Because of that, he's now getting medical treatments. He's doing much better. And on top of that, that day that we went out and picked up his tent, picked up all his stuff, was his sobriety date. Since then, he's led us out to go pick up other veterans. In fact, since that day, as of last night, we've taken in 24 new homeless veterans. Some of them are right here. Some of them were from county officials calling in. That day sparked and ignited a fire in people. And many county programs, different things, Christie, Troy, on and on, we're able to say, okay, hey, there's more programs out there. Now, while there are no beds available, that doesn't mean we're not going to help them. That doesn't mean that we're going to say, hey, come back next week, come back when a bed is available. What we do, we've done over 400 veterans in the last 15 years, and we take them, we get them in a hotel, we get them cleaned up, we get them new clothes, and we humanize them again. The veteran that you called us on that was on that street corner, he got out of combat 2011, 17 years in the military. A friend of his was camping out there, was homeless. He went out to try and help him. He had not spent a day in a bed since 2011 getting out of the Army. And so when you humanize these guys, when a veteran goes out and says, you know what, today sucks. You're not going to go through this alone though. When it's not a government agency or a police officer or somebody coming out and saying, hey, we got a bed for you. But when it's one of your brothers that says, no, we're not going to sleep in the foxholes together out here. Let's get you going. And you come in, and it's not a homeless program. What we're trying to create, what you started and what's evolved, is not a homeless program. It's not housing. Now, while it takes housing agency, while it takes HUD-VASH, while it takes all of these programs, it takes veterans that have been there, that have slept in the foxholes, that have been homeless, that are been on drugs, that have been suicidal. And it takes them to go out and pull them up and to walk them through all the programs. And that's what works. We've done over 400 homeless veterans off the streets in the last 15 years. This program works. That formula works. The problem is there's 0 beds. Just yesterday, next door to our camp, there's a 150-acre parcel that's for sale, and it has 12 beds. I'm making it a campaign of ours to go out and try and secure these, because those 12 beds, when we bring them in and we start to rehab them, from there we can get them into HUD-VASH. From there we can get them into transitional housing. But one thing that we try and do is not just move them to the next phase. We try to get their credit rebuilt. Like one of the homeless vets that we worked with yesterday got approved on a house. He went from homeless, getting his credit repaired, getting his benefits back, to being approved for a house before ever getting to HUD-VASH, before ever getting to some of the other. He only needed a few months of a hand up. And that works.
Justin, if I could, one of the things, when you're articulating, because the difference, what we're talking about, what you guys have built, and I appreciate your efforts along with Nation Finest, Christy and Troy, but from Dwayne Green to Christy and Troy and all those speakers, when you're talking about you guys walking through the process, and that's what I appreciate, is this has been built, for veterans, by veterans, and that's the thing that I think is the most important. So I want to go to another question so we can keep moving, so we can get to the votable items. Supervisor Harmon, did you have any questions for Mr. Bond?
I just have one question. Chrissy, you don't have to come up to the podium, I don't think, but it just kind of jumped out at me. But it was when you were talking about veterans that get released from jail, that your program will be there to greet them. But what jumped out at me was, what about when they go into jail? Does it step back, or did I just misunderstand it? Where as soon as a veteran ends up incarcerated, we get there as quick as we can?
Supervisor Harmon, I'll take that one. I've already been in contact with the jail staff. My office is being notified when a veteran identifies as they're being booked into the jail. My outreach coordinator is now assigned, once we have that confirmed booking and they're in there, my outreach coordinator is now assigned to go to the jail, vet that individual, make sure that they actually are a veteran, because there are people out there that are unscrupulous. They think they're going to get a better benefit if they say they're a veteran, and they're actually not. So we are vetting that from the beginning, as soon as we get notified. Once that is done, we are currently working on a plan for pretrial diversion. It's admittedly in its infancy, but I've already met with the public defender's office, who is very much on board. DA Bridget, we have not met yet. We have a meeting coming up, but she was on board to a veterans diversion or veterans court prior to COVID when that got derailed because of COVID. And then I just met with the WellPath director for the jail yesterday. They have now sent us the listing of all of their incarcerated self-reported veterans that my office is currently working on vetting those individuals to make sure they are indeed veterans. Those that I'm not able to vet, I am also passing that on to Nation's Finest. They have access to different systems than we do, so that we can take every effort to vet them prior to their release. We can develop a plan, we can meet with them prior to their release, and then Mr. Bond has committed his Warriors transition team to meet them upon release to make sure when they walk out that door, they take the right turn.
This sounds a lot like your Warrior Court that you brought to us months ago.
Yeah, the last year and a half we've been working on Warrior Court. Yeah, we're including veterans, first responders, and peace officers, and that's what we've been working on. It's he's been working on something separate on the side, I think, as well.
No, I was just going to say thank you, Troy.
Sir.
Thank you for that.
Great. Supervisor Long.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, thank you so much for what you do. You guys have sacrificed so much for all of us, and that's not lost on this board. And we want to do anything we can to help. And I was a first responder myself, and I know what that sacrifice entails to try to make your community a safer place. And you guys were more on the international end of things. But so this will be a procedural question for me, and this might be a question for Christy or Aaron. We've got the $94,000 that's going to be opioid money for this position, which I fully support getting any resources to you we can. My question is, this is a perpetual cost. Is it going to be charged to the opioid settlement fund every year? And then what happens when that money runs out? Do we just start figuring out how to incorporate this position, or what are we going to do with those?
And that's going to be an Aaron Bertain question.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chair Cry, members of the board. Aaron Bertain, Deputy County Executive Officer. So in the short term, I would say it'll be funded by opioid litigation. In the long term, work will be done along the way to figure out what benefits these veterans have. So if they have Medi-Cal, we'll build a Medi-Cal. It won't be 100% opioid in the long term. And so we would we have opioid money for at least 15 years at this point. But we would all along the way be looking for other resources that we can bill those services to, and the alcohol and drug services are often billable, so we would.
I was under the impression, sorry, Supervisor Long, if I may, that to get this going, this would be opioid, but within, I believe, 24 months, and I don't know if this is a Ms. Coleman question, but that this would most likely all be transitioned away from opioid dollars and just come from different funding sources. Is that correct?
I would say the likelihood that it may not get to 100%, but it could get to the majority of it.
80 or 90%?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And we would get a report like at the mid-year budget of saying like where we're on track, and maybe not right this year's mid-year budget, but for sure by budget next year we would know.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
go ahead.
One thing that, with that, one thing that we're looking at, okay, if we can get the, say, 12 beds put together. I know we were looking at a 3-year plan, Supervisor Plummer, before. I think within 2 years, we can go through that, the 84 veterans within 2 years and get them all serviced if we're operating the 4-phase program out of that house, if we're have the drug and alcohol counselor, because let's face it, almost all of the homeless are on drug and alcohol, that we have to get them serviced. And unfortunately, without any beds in the system, without, the drug and alcohol centers out there are pretty full as well. So that's going to be the goal, and that's what the team had been talking about, is getting those beds together, getting all the resources at one location, and then being able to eliminate and be able to take care of the homeless veterans in the county.
Thank you. The last thing I'd like to say is that thank you, Troy. We had an extensive conversation about this, and you really helped me understand. This item was about the position for the counselors, correct, but you helped me understand the entire background to the national model versus the local model and some of these things, and I appreciate that very much for your insight and helping me figure out that this way that we're going forward will be the most effective for meeting our veterans where they are and meeting them at a point where it's custom tailored to them, this program, and trying to get them all the services that we have in existence currently, and that we're going to plug them in and kind of custom tailor this. So I just wanted to thank you for helping me put all this together, because at the first meeting when we were discussing this, I had reservations because I was hearing from some of the veterans that this approach, the other approach, may not be the best for them, even though it sounded like it was. So thank you very much for the insight.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Long. Supervisor Plummer.
Yes, thank you for the presentation, Troy and Christy, and for the comments and taking time to come here and speak to us. There are a number of things that I really like about this plan and that I think have been consistent with what we've been talking about over the last several months, and so I just wanted to highlight them because I think it is could potentially be, roadmap for how we think about addressing this as a broader issue on an ongoing basis. So I think number one, focusing on a subpopulation versus trying to address everything at once is really helpful, and I think it's valuable to start with the veterans for a number of pretty obvious reasons. I think the other thing that you heard a lot about today is systems improvement versus a lot of new programs and services. Obviously, we're funding this new position within the Veteran Service Office, but a lot of it is just getting the system of existing organizations that are already on this to work more effectively, and I think that it will be the key. There is a lot of money flowing into homelessness. Obviously, we need to build more housing for those populations or provide that in some capacity, but systems improvement, I do believe, is a key to seeing progress on this. The other thing that we've talked a lot about is having a point of entry so that when someone sees someone who's homeless, whether that's a service provider or an individual in the community, that they know where they have a single point of entry where they can say, okay, I'm going to go here, and then that gets them access to everything else. And so I like that that was included, as well as the call to action to community members, so that if you drive by and you see someone on the street, or if you hear of someone, that you know what you can do to take action and feel like you're being productive versus maybe doing something that actually just perpetuates the cycle of homelessness. The other things, and this was something I talked with the sheriff about months ago, was that we do have about 250 arrests of veterans per year, and so I like that. I know you had gotten the original notification online in the spring, and so I love that we're doing something with post-release and connecting that to an emergency response team. So, and then as well the RFP for housing. So the only thing that one last thing I wanted to call out is the point you made, Christy, that where there was the comment that, if we knew of these resources, we probably could have accessed them earlier. And I do want to just emphasize that, because oftentimes we do hear, the homeless, they don't want to be housed, they don't want to access services, and I think at times there's good reasons for that, but also if we address that in the appropriate way with having veterans, for example, connect with veterans, we'll see that that changes that, and that there is actually an openness to it, and that we can be more effective in that. And so I just wanted to emphasize that point. The only comment that I had, and one, it's partially a clarification question, was in terms of the measures of success. I know you said at least 12 months housed, and I wanted to clarify, because I know in this conversation around housing, we've talked about both transitional housing, which is, different from permanent housing, and whether that will be included in that measure. And then, let me just ask that first, and then I have another kind of related comment.
So I would say the 12 months would be permanent housing, successfully permanently housed, because transitional housing, they're still learning how to be housed and where they're actually going to move to be in a permanent situation.
Okay, that's what I was hoping, that it would be more focused on the permanent housing. The only other thing that I would comment on that particular measure is that in theory, if we focus just on the number housed, in theory we could house a whole bunch more people, but the number of homeless could keep growing, veteran homeless. And so I think also looking at the countdown towards, zero of getting people, how many do we have left who aren't housed is as important as the number who are getting housed. So that would just be a comment for consideration.
Yeah, we do have, we're going to look at the number that we've taken out of encampments and get into treatment or into transitional housing to kind of see how are those numbers growing over time. Are they growing? Is this working? And really looking at that to identify that. To be really successfully in your house and learn how to live in a house again, it's going to take some time. And so we want to give them that opportunity to either do the hotel or transitional house before we get them into permanent housing and really help them with the wraparound services that are needed to maintain their housing.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I will also say the resources too. In the back there are these little pocket guides for resources. This is just kind of a thing that we came up with, the draft, to have some resources for veterans to actually have in their pocket or their backpack. That way they have resources, they can share the resources. And there is also one, of course, that is ADA compliant to make sure, it's a bigger font, it's more readable, it's more legible. But these are really on the go and I think are going to be really handy to help get the word out to those in the encampments. Something easy to carry.
And those can be picked up where?
They are at the table out front, right outside the board chambers.
But
right
if
there.
people watch this back, where's somewhere else they could pick those up?
I brought 25 today, and we're going to be printing more. And so when we have more printed, we'll distribute them at the VSO's office, our veterans organizations, and our local offices.
Maybe could you make sure each supervisor gets a small stack so that way if constituents want them, they could reach out to us directly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all, Supervisor Plummer? All right, with that, I'm going to, before I see you're in queue. I haven't weighed in yet, and so I'm going to weigh in really quick. I want to thank you guys again for that work. Dwayne Green, I really want to thank you for speaking up at the at-home meeting. I think it's critical when vets speak for themselves and don't have bureaucrats telling people what's best. So thank you guys for your service. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve 2, 3, and 4 as stated in our...
I'll second.
I'll second. Okay. With that, Supervisor Long. And also, I want to thank Supervisor Plummer for bringing this issue up months ago and getting this ball started. Absolutely. Supervisor Long.
Thank you, Chair. Troy, this would be a question for you, and this was a question that I asked you when we were kind of discussing all of this. Coming back once the data, and this is kind of jumping off what Supervisor Plummer was just talking about, once the data is generated, I asked you the question, and you said that you would be willing to come back for updates for the board to know exactly whether we're getting more vets off the streets and into services and housing. And so can you elaborate on that just a little bit, that what my question to you, and that you were willing to?
Yeah, so what we've agreed to is semi-annual reports back to the board twice a year. That way we're doing timely updates. That way we're getting real-time data. I don't think it's appropriate to do it on an annual basis because that's too much time lost if we discover something that's not working. Mm-hmm. And I think doing them too close together doesn't give a broader picture. So I think that what our collaboration is going to do is to bring them back to the board, our results, our data, semi-annually, every 6 months. That way we can get a better assessment of whether or not there are tweaks that need to be made. If we've missed something, and it's not too far out to fix it, where people have not gotten the services because of an oversight, we can fix it quick, but still have effective data to bring back to the board over a period of time.
Okay, thank you for that. And then also, and thank you, Supervisor Plummer, for making that referral to get the veteran into all the services and basically saving his life. That's very awesome.
Absolutely.
Is there one recommended, so if everyone among our constituents is listening to this, is there one thing or one place they can call? Would it be to you? If they find somebody like Supervisor Plummer did, they call you, and then you start the whole process working with all the collaborative?
Yes, sir. So the way we're designing this is my office is going to be the hub of this program. That way we've got immediate contact with all of the spokes to this program. We can get a hold of OHD, Our Heroes Dreams, directly if we feel that that's the best avenue for them to get out there. Let's gather this person up. Let's, assess, and then get them back to my office if that's what they need. Get them over to one of Christie's teams if that's what they need. Get them to Nation's Finest if that's what they need. But we have taken on the task of being the center hub point of contact. Now, in emergency situations, in the presentation that Ms. Coleman did, OHD's hotline is on there as well. So they can contact any one of the partners that we've developed, but we're the easiest for the veterans to locate and then most well-known amongst the veteran populations, if you will. So it's just easier to call us and then we can get the ball rolling.
I love that idea, and that's why that was the reason for the question, was to have one point of contact that they can get to you, and because they're familiar with you, and then it starts getting farmed out and branched out to different groups as appropriate. So I think that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're going to do those friendly handoffs. It's not going to be we can't do anything today. Why don't you try these guys? No, these are going to be phone calls waiting for that individual to arrive.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Long. CEO Rickard, is there anything you'd like to add as a veteran yourself? I know you've been very active in this as well.
Thank you, Chairman. Cry, I appreciate all the input and effort we had by our veterans in helping us shape this program and focusing on what we can do to support them. I try to take what was best that worked in other programs and look at what we have locally to come up with the best package possible to meet our needs in Shasta County.
Yeah, I mean, not every organization or not every county has Our Heroes Dreams, and that's why I think this is going to be so effective. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and take the vote. I don't think we need to do a roll call vote. It is a 4/5 needing to pass. Yes, that's correct. Or having a CEO that's a veteran, or many staff members as well, men and women. So with that, we'll take the vote. We've heard public comment. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you all for your work.